Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Excited to chat. We've got a guest coming up later in the program that I'm excited to talk to as well. May McCarthy. She's the author of The Path to Wealth. So there you go. I should probably pay attention.
Is it May McCarthy or is it May McCarthy?
No, May McCarthy.
Okay.
Did I say it a different way?
Yeah, it sounded like you said May McCarthy. I was like,
McCarthy.
that's an interesting first name.
No.
Mayma.
I'm sorry, May. Her name is Heidi. I say that wrong all the time, too. Hey, something we just started this week. I've got a quote for today. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. That's from Jimmy Johnson.
I have heard that.
And listen to this. A UK-based horticulture firm has developed a method of producing both potatoes and tomatoes on the same plant.
Oh, that's funky.
That just seems weird to me.
I thought potatoes grew underground.
They do. So they would have potatoes growing underground and tomatoes growing above ground. So
That sounds like
it's a weird
cancer
science.
plant waiting to happen.
Never said it was a good idea. You said they're doing it. Coming up, we got some special things going on today. We'll tell you about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, March the 15th. Today is Brain Injury Awareness Day. Got some friends that have had injuries to their brain. It's kind of scary. It's very scary. Today is also Brutus Day and Buzzards Day and Ides of March Day. So we got all those things going on. And this is a long title, International Day of Action Against Canadian Seal Slaughter Day.
Well, there you go.
So make sure
That's
you send
awfully specific.
Make sure you send your cards for that.
You think Hallmark has a section for that?
Don't think so. National Kick Butts Day, National Shoe the World Day. I think they mean like put shoes on feet, not like get out of here, world.
Shoo them away.
I think so. It's True Confessions Day, and it's World Consumer Rights Day. So, of all of those, I don't know that there's really... Maybe Shoe the World. I have to see if I can find some shoes to donate.
I have some brown Crocs that
Oh,
somebody
no.
would
I
love
like those.
to have.
I like those. Don't get rid of my Crocs. Coming up, we got more fun stuff on the way as I go hide my Crocs.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi. Join us for 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
Meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Imagine reading your own obituary in the newspaper. That recently happened to a woman. It was a tough weekend for Roxy Ann Trent. There we go. Friday, she broke up with her boyfriend. Saturday, her obituary was in the newspaper.
Did the boyfriend do that?
Yeah.
That's kind of funny,
Just
actually.
take a listen to what happened here. Roxy received a call from her sister early on Saturday morning who saw the obituary and said, Roxy, it says that you died of apparent homicide. The obituary was originally seen by her uncle, who proceeded to notify relatives throughout the country regarding her death. How did this happen? Well, B.T. Austin and Sons Funeral Home sent an official obituary form for Roxy to the newspaper, but when contacted, officials at the funeral home said they had received no report from the police or the morgue. It's believed that it was a hoax put together by her ex-boyfriend, who just so happens to work at that funeral home.
Oh, wow.
Or at least used to.
Yeah.
I got a feeling.
He probably doesn't anymore.
Would that be grounds for dismissal, do you think?
Oh.
I think it would. Don't you?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you don't do that.
For sure it would be. I mean, it's funny.
I understand she broke your heart. You're
sure
upset, but you don't do something like that. There's a lot of things you can do, but sending out a fake obituary when that's like your real job.
She literally was dead to him.
Yeah, you're dead to me. I mean, seriously, here's your obit. That's just wrong. You don't do that. We read a story about a family that had some issues, big-time issues, and they had sent out an obituary for their own child trying to collect sympathy money.
Yeah.
And this poor kid, first they pretended the kid was sick, and the kid wasn't sick, and then they posted a thing saying their kid died, and the kid wasn't even dead. They're like,
it was the kid that turned him into the cops.
It's like, hey, I'm kind of sick of them using me as a prop.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just sad stuff. And this one here, Like I said, this just recently happened. This lady read her own obituary, and you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Actually, this is kind of an interesting one here. It's not somebody doing something dumb under the influence. It's actually some scientists trying to make it so when you're drinking, your brain doesn't hurt so much. Take a listen to this. Australian scientists, that makes more sense. I don't see the Austrians partying too much, but you know those Australians.
I bet they do.
They like to get down. Australian scientists claim they might be able to take away the beer hangover. Nutrition experts at the Griffin Health Institute made some beer that was very similar to Gatorade. So what they did, the scientists added electrolytes to beer. So it's almost like a health drink, ? I don't know. Do you think this is a good idea to mess with beer?
No, beer's already perfect.
So these guys said, hey, you know what? These were nutrition experts. They're like, it would be wonderful if we could come up with a nutritious beer. We should work on that. Let's do that today. Whatever we were working on before, curing cancer. Yeah, let's wait on that. Let's make a beer that tastes like Gatorade. Anyway, that's what they're working on in Australia. Coming up, we have your moment of duh. That is on the way.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. Lake Villa, Illinois. Robert Carda and his son were flying in a 1949 Piper Clipper airplane, and they landed on the golf course. And it was not an emergency landing. Well, not technically. Traffic was backed up. This kid had a son who needed to get to tennis practice, so he jumped in his airplane and took off. Since the tennis court doesn't really have a landing facility, he just landed on the fairway at the golf course across the street. The police were notified by concerned citizens thinking that there was a crash landing. They and the FAA are looking into the matter, and Robert will likely face charges. So apparently you don't just do that. You don't just say, you're running late, there's a lot of traffic, let's just take the airplane and land on the golf course.
I wonder if he's friends with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bad idea, though. You don't do that. So, although, Heidi keeps saying she wants to get a pilot's license.
I do.
She would do that. She would do that for sure.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. We just talked about a dude that landed his airplane on the golf course. Now, another golf course incident. Golf etiquette argument turned violent at a Dallas area course. One man cracked another man in the skull with a golf club.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, don't do that. Who would want to play golf with someone like that? It's a bad idea. 2 middle school teachers in L.A. said they've been able to improve students' grades in science by coming to class dressed as Star Trek characters. The students also dressed in Star Trek uniforms, and the teacher said it really helps them get excited about science. I can't even imagine that a lot of kids today would know what Star Trek is, so I'm kind of excited that they do. Do you think our kids would have been excited about that?
No.
Not so much?
No.
I think our son might have been.
But he's not
Absolutely would have been if it
Trekkie.
was Star Wars.
Yeah,
So,
Star Wars, maybe, but Star Trek?
I don't know. Hey, the TV commercials might not be lying to you after all. Apparently, chewing sugar-free gum really can make your teeth cleaner and stronger, according to this study. A study partially funded by Wrigley's, I need to make sure we say, found that some gums actually help prevent cavities, reduce plaque, and make teeth stronger, according to this. Now, the ADA, that's the American Dental Association, has awarded these treats the group's seal of approval, and it's the first time gum packages will be able to display that seal. So that's kind of interesting. So they're able to say, hey.
Which gums does it say?
It doesn't
list?
say. It doesn't have a list, no. But like I said, it was funded by Wrigley, so chances are they're probably on that list. Otherwise, I'm sure
Otherwise, they wouldn't have released the report.
Who is it? It's just Dentine. But
All gum other than ours.
Thanks, guys. You should probably reimburse us for that study.
Hubba Bubba isn't on there.
I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know who's on the list. About the only snow you'll find in Southern California is maybe on a movie set, but there are some sled dogs that are hot in this region where sand dunes outnumber snowdrifts. Urban mushing allows owners of huskies and other dogs to give their animals a workout. The dogs pull scooters instead of sleds.
Oh, my gosh.
Southern California Working Snow Dog Group has about 240 members.
That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
Not all the scooter pullers are huskies or malamutes, though. Some are people's, says some people harness their standard poodles to scooters for a weekend run in the park. Not little poodles like ours, but the big poodles. We got the little tiny poodles. You can only imagine them trying to drag us around on
poodles.
it. Come on, mush. I'm sitting in a wagon drinking a beer. I don't know what's wrong with my snow dogs. They're not doing their job. Scientists from Korea have turned the main ingredient of calamine lotion into a tiny material that converts sound waves into electricity.
What?
The research could lead to panels that could charge a cell phone from a conversation or provide a boost of energy to the nation's electrical grid generated by the noise during rush hour traffic. So they're saying they're taking this little bit of calamine lotion and making that material convert sound waves into electricity. It's an exciting time to be alive, Heidi. That sounds interesting to me. Does that sound
I wonder
interesting
how
to you?
on earth they thought to use calamine lotion
I
to
don't
create
know.
sound.
Somebody apparently they use that and sound to make electricity.
That is ridiculous.
It is. But you know what? While they were working on that study,
I wonder if
they-
somebody got shocked, like when they had the chicken pox or something. They're like, "Hey, look, you can make electricity."
I sneezed and my hair stood up. What happened? I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the lotion. In a survey of 6,000 women, it turns out most don't want to see our furry feet and trashy toes, guys. They say flip-flops? No, not unless you're going to the beach or to the lake or hanging out by the pool or sitting on a boat. Sandals? Sorry, still too much toe action. So they're saying, cover the toes, dudes. And we were just talking about my shoes that have my toes exposed. So
Your Crocs?
yeah,
Your
I'm gonna
toes are
keep
not
those.
exposed,
Yeah,
are they?
Oh yeah.
I thought
See,
they
you
were
don't-
the
it's like
Crocs
you
that
don't
covered
even
your...
know
I
me.
try not to look at them.
Yeah, you don't look directly at the Crocs.
No.
All right, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us right now. I'm actually really excited to visit with our guest because she's got a really fascinating background and she's got a new book out as well. We're going to be visiting right now with the author of The Path to Wealth, May McCarthy. How are you doing?
I'm just great, John. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, we're super excited to have you on the program, and I'm reading the background here, and it talks about this really cool angel investor, speaker, multimillionaire entrepreneur, started numerous businesses. You got to be really proud of what you've been able to do. That's really, really cool. But how did you get your start? How did you decide, a young May McCarthy decide that this is the path in life that I want to take?
Oh, how fun. I love that question. Well, I actually grew up in a family where my father, although he was a surgeon, he was also an entrepreneur. And my parents always told us that if we wanted to make any money, I mean, even from a young kid, if we wanted to make money, the best way to do it is to try and solve a problem or create a convenience. And so we were constantly on the lookout for problems like our neighbors not wanting to mow their own lawn or a convenience. I grew up on the beach, so there were lots of people out in front that would get really hot in the sun. And so I decided at 6 years old to start my first business, which was a concession stand for people that were on the beach. And I got a lot of lessons throughout my high school years and had lots of small businesses that I grew as a kid. But my first of 7 companies started when I was 19. And again, if I found a problem that I could solve or create a convenience that people would want, then I was doing good work and I could probably monetize that and make some money. And that's been my goal ever since, was to help people with really innovative solutions.
I absolutely love that. And that, what a cool thing. And the fact that you're teaching this to other people and helping other people. That is just amazing. As I'm looking at some of the info here, you say a lot of people get stuck in the mentality of I can't, and we got to get out of the I can't mentality, don't we?
Right. We have a rational mind that tries to overanalyze so many things, but we also have this intuitive mind that can be of help to us. I mean, some of the most successful people in the world, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Thomas Edison, I mean, they all say that they rely on intuition, on this information that seems to be beyond their rational mind, beyond what they think is possible. They rely on that as a success tool, and I've done the same. So what I do is I help people through my book to come up with goal statements that describe what they can do, what they can have, what they want to have. And the key is to describe it as though it's already done with gratitude. Then your intuition and your subconscious go on high alert to try and point out those possibilities. It's kind of like the last time you bought a new car. As you focused on having that car, didn't you start to see it driving around everywhere?
Oh, yeah.
Your subconscious was trying to help you notice that this was possible for you to have. And the same thing happens when you use a daily routine that I describe in my book to prime your brain for success. You'll start to notice more possibilities to make those goals manifest in your life. And that's in any area. You know, my definition of wealth is not just money. My definition of wealth includes having great relationships and a healthy body and enough recreation to recharge yourself and using your skills and talents in really great and meaningful ways as you work or volunteer or whatever it is that you do with your time.
That is fantastic, and I love that. And you were talking a little bit right there about the subconscious and activating your subconscious and getting that part of your brain working, but there's another part in there called intuition, and those two kind of work together, don't they?
They do. What ends up happening is intuition is sort of beyond the rational mind. It'll point you in a direction, but then you have to have courage, as Steve Jobs said, to actually take the step, to follow your intuition. And here's a great example. I know Sioux City very, very well because some very large hospital systems there were customers in my last two companies. And so one of the things that I decide when I'm starting a company is I use practical business planning tools, which are to create projections and the sales that I would like to have by particular dates in order to grow my company. And I had this one goal for a minimum or more of $400,000 by a particular time. And as I was running around through my day doing my work, I had this very strong thought of this woman. I mean, I hadn't thought of her in a while. I did business with her several years ago, but I haven't really thought about her. So I tried to track her down, and she had left her position at the hospital that I knew she worked at. And I was really struggling trying to find where she went to. So I kept, the goal every single day. I'm revisiting my $400,000 goal. And I get this idea to contact another person. Well, they had this old customer's cell phone number. So I called her, we struck up a conversation, and she mentioned that she just took a job at a bigger health system that already had budget approval and she wanted to use our software and equipment to install throughout her whole health system. And the first order would be over $400,000.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so you'll get intuitive thoughts, maybe gut instincts, feeling in your gut that's trying to tell you to do something. You might even see a sign or a message that's meaningful to you, or somebody will say something to you and it just resonates. So whatever it is, do what Steve Jobs said, take the step. And if you're unsure and you're kind of scared or you're just filled with so much doubt, just figuratively stomp your foot and say, hey, intuition, if that's from you, give me another sign. And you will get another confirming message if it's from your intuition.
Again, our guest right now, May McCarthy, author of The Path to Wealth. And one of the things that I'm reading here in your information, it says you should surround yourself with people who've already achieved the goals that you're trying to achieve, because that will speed up the process. So it's kind of hanging out with the right people then.
Well, one of the things that can happen is our rational mind, because we come to this point in our life with all of our beliefs and behaviors, we have some really strong beliefs about I can or I can't. And so if we have a goal that is bigger than or different than anything we've ever experienced before, our rational mind is going to continuously try and talk us out of taking steps to achieve it because it wants to protect us and keep us safe. So one of the ways that you can speed up the ability to see intuitive messages more obviously and more often is to make what you want familiar to you. I know a woman who's a scientist and she wanted to be a paid singer. So she went to discuss with the paid singers what their stories were. You know, what's your journey? Tell me about your life. How did you get to do this? And as she made their journey familiar to her, what she realized was, if they can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it, because she had a decent voice. And sure enough, she followed a number of leads, another number of intuitive hits, and was able to achieve her goal. And she now not only is a cancer research scientist, but she sings part-time on the side and has a wonderful time and gets paid for it.
That's really cool. Again, May McCarthy is our guest right now. One of the other things that I see on here, it says repetition. Now, just that one word by itself, and it has me intrigued. What does it mean, repetition, when it comes to being successful? Does that mean just doing that, finding the right thing and doing that over and over and over?
Well, any successful business person or athlete or musician will tell you that when you repeat a behavior, when you use a daily practice, you start to make what it is that you want more familiar to you. It anchors it more fully. And what we're trying to do in this goal attainment strategy is to keep our goals as though they're already completed at the forefront of our thoughts. And the way that we have to do that is actually have a meeting with ourselves every single day. First thing in the morning, 25 to 30 minutes, to follow this simple routine that will prime our brain for success, that will help our intuition and subconscious to show up more often, to point us in the right direction. And I outline all of those steps in my book. But every single day, repetition will reap rewards.
That's awesome. And let's talk about the book right now. The book, it's available right now. And again, the name of the book is The Path to Wealth. And you were saying that there is actually a place people can go and get like a sneak preview of the first few chapters?
They sure can. For your listeners, if they go to MayMcCarthy.com, that's MayMcCarthy.com, they can download the first 3 chapters for free.
That is fantastic. And again, the website, if you'd like to check that out and download the first 3 chapters and see if this is for you, MayMcCarthy.com. And May is who we're visiting with right now. May, thank you for taking the time to chat with us. You know, there are a lot of people in life that become successful. But the ones that I feel are truly successful are those who, first of all, love what they do, not just made a bunch of money, but they love what they do. But really, the ones that are super successful are the ones who are doing what you're doing. They're reaching their hand out and saying, hey, I want to help other people become successful. So thank you for doing that. That is fantastic that you do that.
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate being on your show.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to visit. And again, the book is called The Path to Wealth, 7 Spiritual Steps for Financial Abundance. And if you'd like to know more, I'll give that website once again, MayMcCarthy.com. Thank you for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it, too. Learn how you can use his system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Watch a few videos there for free. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code Radio20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Male koalas mark their territory by rubbing their chests on a tree. They have a dark scent gland in the middle of their chest. That's kind of
Wow.
interesting. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Apples, not caffeine, are the most efficient way of waking up in the morning.
Really?
Wake up and have an apple.
I actually have heard that.
Yeah. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
An adult esophagus can range from 10 inches to 14 inches in length and is about 1 inch in diameter.
Huh.
There you go. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The human liver performs over 500 different functions.
Really?
Our livers, they're like overachievers.
My liver is working overtime.
Yeah, I know it is. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
75% of all raisins eaten by people in the United States are eaten when?
I don't know.
At breakfast time.
Okay.
2 scoops,
You
I
know
suppose.
what they used to make? They
What
used
did
to
they used
have
to make?
grape nuts with raisins.
Yeah.
You can't buy that anymore.
No kidding?
It's just grape nuts now. So you have to add your own raisins
Well,
if
there
you
you
want
go.
raisins in
I
it.
didn't
And
know.
I don't know why.
Oh, I'm going to have to send a letter to my congressman. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that website is RadioLottoPool.com.
John and Heidi.
This is a fun story. This almost made it as our good news, but I found some news that was actually better news than this. But it's still a really cool story. From South Sudan, most people there do not have a television. So how do they get their news and information? Well, something that you're listening to right now, a radio. Yeah, they listen to the radio to get their info, kind of like we do around here, see. But limited access to electricity means some entire communities are left in information darkness for days at a time because the power goes out and the radio station has no backup source of power. So, in a remote area of southern Sudan, one man is turning to the sun to change all of that. Issa Kasimu is an electrical engineer, and he came up with a bright idea of setting up the country's first solar-powered radio station. It's called Mayardit FM. I don't know what that means. Probably means something there, because it doesn't mean a lot. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
That doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe it means like something about the sun. Anyway, they started this March of last year. So March of 2016, the station's been running on sunshine ever since. And there's a link to this story on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I just think that's really cool. They took this, an area where sun is plentiful, and said, hey, you know, we have no electricity here, but we got plenty of sun. Let's power our radio station with the sun. So,
But how do they power the radios to listen to the radio station if there's no electricity?
I don't know.
They making solar-powered radios too?
No, because you get battery-powered radios is one way to do it. Or I've seen them like where you crank them up. Have you seen those radios?
No.
You've never seen those? It's like a storm, like emergency radio.
Oh, I think
I've
I
seen those.
have. I
Where
don't
you like
have
wind
one.
it up. Anyway. And people, like in their cars, if they're driving in a car, there would be radios.
If they don't have electricity, they probably don't have a ton of cars.
Yeah, good point.
You make it sound like all of this is readily available to them. They probably don't have batteries. Then
Just pretend like I didn't even say that. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi inviting you to join us for a party in paradise.
this is a week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
And 80s movie and TV icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
We'll even get together to have some drinks with you.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Couple of dudes in Wisconsin were kind of busy. Take a listen to this. 100,000 diapers were stolen.
Oh.
2 men in Wisconsin facing charges of theft for allegedly stealing diapers. Police in Fox Crossing, Wisconsin, allege the men stole nearly 1,800 cases of diapers valued at more than $45,000. And sadly, they were stealing them from a charitable organization that provides goods to families in need. So it's not like they were stealing them from a store, which wouldn't have made it any better, by the way. It's still bad, no matter what. But they were stealing them from a charitable organization. I think that's just wrong.
Well, of course it's wrong.
That's probably why they got arrested. It is wrong. But I just think it's really bad. It's sad that they did that. You guys are naughty. Hope you get spanked or something. Or put in jail and spanked. I don't know. Coming up, we got more fun stuff to get to. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
John and Heidi.
A new survey found that men with beards look around 5 years older than those same men who are clean-shaven.
Agreed.
When people are shown pictures of celebrities with and without facial hair, they said the beards made them look, on average, 5 years older.
Agreed.
And here's the thing that I'll say. it depends for me personally, on the age of the person. Like there are some, I guess it does always make them look older. Never mind. I'm going to say some younger people, I was just in my mind thinking whether they should have a beard. Because they're younger people. Like I know people that have like a baby face, and then they'll grow a beard, and then they look like they're their own age all of a sudden. I'm like, well, now you don't look 12 anymore. Now you look like an adult. But like me, I can't grow a beard because my beard looks scraggly and awful. And I have a goatee, but look at this. I get all these gray hairs in here. I'm either going to have to like cover them up or shave my goatee off because look at that. Doesn't it look awful right now? I look homeless.
It's getting some grays.
It's looking really rugged too. It's like not in a good way.
It's all scraggly. It's not
terrible.
Clean shaven like it usually is. Usually it's nice and tidy.
I got to do something about that. Anyway, according to this story, I look 5 years older. I think I probably look more like 15 years older. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
If you're struggling to get in that recommended 30 minutes of daily exercise, they say don't despair. Growing evidence suggests that even half of that much can help. So now I got to put off 15 minutes rather than 30. It says here, regular exercise strengthens your muscles, reduces some of the risk of disease, and promotes mental well-being. The more exercise, the better. But not everyone has the time or the willpower, so researchers set out to find what is the minimum amount of physical activity needed to reap the best health benefits. So you're still at least getting some good health benefits. The finding by a study in Taiwan suggests 15 minutes of moderate exercise a day could lead to a longer and healthier life. So saying 15 minutes. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there was an invention, wasn't it like 8-minute abs? Isn't that what they called it?
Yeah.
And then there was a movie that had a guy that had a fake, it was just a fake thing, but in the movie, it's like 7-minute abs.
Yeah.
And then the guy that was in it asked him, like, what if somebody comes up with 6-minute abs? He's like, that's just crazy. But I remember the 8-minute abs. I always thought, who doesn't have 8 minutes? But have I done anything with that?
No.
Because why? I apparently don't have 8 minutes. No, for me, I just need to make it a priority. And I think that's what, for most of us, we need to, the moment that becomes a priority, you will find the 15 minutes.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Or if you go with the old standard, the 30 minutes. Even if it's 10 minutes, it's better than nothing. So, and I've been making healthier decisions. I've been doing a lot of things that are healthier, and I've noticed a difference. So it's not that tough. And like I said, the study out of Taiwan says 15 minutes of moderate exercise a day can lead to a longer life. Imagine driving all the way across town to go to the gym, walk in for 15 minutes, and then leave. I'm going to just leave my car running. I'm not going to find a parking space. You just pull up right to the door and walk in. All right, coming up, we've got some good news to get to, and we're going to wrap things up with that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is kind of a fun story. It finally paid to have well-behaved children, at least in this particular story here. It says parents who raised some very well-behaved children found a discount at a restaurant, Heidi.
That's nice.
After witnessing a large family's 5 children quietly and contentedly coloring in the coloring books while the adults drank and chatted with, this was at a wine bar in an Italian restaurant, and the restaurateur, Antonio Ferrari, decided that I'm making a new policy today. And on the last line of the family's check, it said,
Scanto Bimbi Educati. You know what that means?
I have no idea.
It's Italian, and I'm sure I nailed it, by the way. There's an Italian listening right now. They're like, I didn't know John spoke Italian.
So fluent.
It's like it's just rolled off his tongue. Scanto Bimbi Educati. And that's probably not even close to what it is. But what it means is, in English, that would be educated children discount. Yeah, loosely based on what I know about Italian and what it says right here in this story. In a Facebook post, Ferrari marvels that it is so unusual to see such well-behaved children in a restaurant. He describes them as having, quote, much composure, end quote. The family was apparently so pleased with their 5% discount, which was about $14, they reciprocated by leaving a $30 tip.
Aw.
So they were well-behaved parents, too, which is kind of cool. So that's really neat. I know I've been out. We'll go to restaurants from time to time, and we'll see families that are well-behaved, and we'll also see families that are not so well-behaved. Like food flying around and kids screaming. And we just sit there the whole time and say, I'm glad we only have 2 kids. And they're both old enough that we don't have to deal with that anymore.
And they've always been pretty well behaved.
Our kids were. Yeah, they were very.
And I've got a cousin whose children are so well behaved. I mean,
how many kids do they have now?
Well, actually, I have 2 cousins whose children are very well behaved. Alan and Nicole.
Okay.
Both of their kids. Yeah. Their kids are just
They're
angels.
There you go. I noticed that you didn't mention some other cousins, but we'll just move on. I'm just kidding. It's because she has so many cousins, and I'm putting her in a tight spot right now. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. That was mean of me, wasn't it? Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.